Hello, everyone. It is Technique Tuesday today, and today is March 17. Happy St. Patrick's Day, you guys. We had St. Patrick's Day, so I kind of missed it, and I thought afterwards I should have worn something green today, right? But I didn't even think about that, so I'm in navy instead. How is everyone going? How are you all? Now, let me just double check. It does say it's receiving my voice, so I believe we have sound. That's really good. And I'm just scrolling up to see if I've missed any very, very important things. Leslie, Cherie was asking you about on stage. Because we all know you were very nervous when we were on here last week, and I'd love you to share how you found it. Would you go again? What did you think? All right, I'm just looking to see if there's any other important messages I have missed. Oh, Margaret was at the physio at the beginning. She hopes to join us later. We'll have to keep an eye out for her when she pops in. All right, you guys. Well, I'll get started pretty quickly because Technique Tuesday, I try and keep these ones under an hour or thereabouts, okay? And you would have seen the title of this particular Technique Tuesday is Watercolour 3 Ways. Can I just say that is not all the ways. There are more than 3 ways to watercolor, and there are so many different tools to help you do great watercoloring. I mean, watercolor pencils are one of my favorite, but we're not using those today. But we are going to use a new stamp set. So let me switch over. I'm just having a look. Have I missed anything very, very important? Oh, hello, Joe. How are you? Nice to see you here. Cherie did answer your comment, Cherie. Yeah, after the initial nerves, you were okay. I know. And you look like you were having a good time when I saw you. So that's pretty cool. Jolene from Minnesota, hello. Hello, hello. Hey, Tanya. Hi, Kerry. It's impossible to say hello to everyone. It's very difficult. So you'll just have to know that I love you all, and we'll go from there. All right, let's switch over to the desk, which has currently got nothing on it. But let's put something on it. This is what I got on the weekend. I got a lot of things on the weekend, but this is brand new Stampin' Up! Catalog. If you haven't seen it before, this is what it looks like. It is 87. I can't show you the inside, but it's 87 pages big. It is replacing the old annual catalog. We will now have 3 mini catalogs a year. This one goes from May to August, as it says right here, 2026. I'm sure you haven't missed anyone, Janine. We know, we understand. So this is the big excitement. There is a lot in here, okay? It is jam-packed full of products. Yes, it does have all of our regular cardstocks and all the regular things, but a whole bunch of new, wonderful, exciting things as well. Okay. And if you were at On Stage, you would have got your hands on one of these. Okay. So this is one of the perks of going to On Stage as a demonstrator, and it's for all demonstrators. One of the perks is getting your hands on the new catalog early. Okay. So we get it before anybody else, and it feels very special when they do that. All right. But I do have a new stamp set that I've been playing with. And I think, Marilyn, if you're here today, you were saying you thought I'd buy this one. And I didn't get it initially, but then I thought, you know what? They're right. It would be a good idea for me to get this one and show some watercoloring. Let me turn on the lamp so we get a better, there you go. That's a bit of a better lighting. When will the demos get their copy? Okay, so once upon a time, Stampin' Up! Used to mail one out to all the demos. Now, I don't know if you know, but there's something like 55,000 demonstrators. And to mail all of those people a catalog, especially if they weren't planning on putting an order in, because, you know, demonstrators drop, okay, when that happens, it was costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars to mail all those catalogs out. So instead, what they do now is when you put your first order in after pre-order, which starts for demonstrators on the 24th of March, when you put your first order in, you'll be able to add a new catalog, a complimentary catalog to your order. Now, I'm not sure because it's we haven't been told this yet if it's going to be in your order automatically or whether you need to click a button to make it go in there. I'd like to think it'll go in automatically if you're ordering after the 24th of March, but I hope that answers your question, Joe. It will be in your first order after the pre-order begins. Okay, so the 24th of March is when pre-order begins. For those of you who are not demonstrators, I'm sorry, you're going to have to wait until the 5th of May. So we are very, very fortunate. That is one of the perks of being a demonstrator for sure, is that you get to get things early. Okay. And, I make no apology for that. Okay. You've just placed an order. Well, you'll probably want to place one from the new catalog anyway, Joe, right? So when you place that order, you will find that because that's where all the new stuff is, and we're going to talk about a bit of that new stuff today. So there will be some little news updates in this particular video. So stick with me, and I'm going to show you a few things. For the current mini, there was an extra line added for you to click. Yeah, that's what I thought last time. Exactly. On the first order that you put in when pre-order begins. All right, so this is a new set. It's called Faraway Landscapes, and it's got, as you can see, 3 landscapes. And I don't think anyone is surprised that I wanted to buy this because I love watercoloring and I find it very relaxing. And that's actually one of the reasons I decided to do it today, because many of you would know we've had a very, very big week the last few days, and I'm still not quite come down off that cloud yet. So I thought something relaxing today would be nice. All right. So you can see there's a scene here that's got some mountains and some trees and some deer and a river going through, or some sort of little babbling brook maybe. Then we've got one here that's a beach. We've got a yacht over here, and we've got some palm trees and a deck chair. So this is a beachy scene. And this one is the one that reminds me of growing up on the farm, because this one has some crops, a house and what looks like maybe either a water tank or a silo over there in the background, and a fence and some paddock here in the foreground. So this one kind of made me think of like wheat fields, because that's what we had. When's the pre-order for May online exclusives? That would be April. No, I could be wrong, Leslie. I could be wrong, and maybe I will be corrected. I would think it would be, normally it's a month before, okay, for online exclusives. So I could be wrong though. They might decide to start it at the same time. All right, so I've already got one here on a block, which is this one, the one with the field. And I was playing around with this one earlier, and I just did a quick little watercolor just to kind of have a play. And if this one was a no line watercoloring, so the lines are very, very faint, and that's how I wanted it to be. So we may play with that again today. There is also, I thought, a couple of different things we can do, but let's talk basics first, okay? You couldn't make up your mind, Lorraine? Well, let's see. Hey, hi, Anne. Nice to see you. I enjoyed sitting across the table from you at dinner the other night, Anne. That was lovely. All right, so here's the basics that you're going to need. For good watercoloring, you can watercolor on thicker cardstock. However, you do not get the same result. And I would like you to bear in mind, if you plan to do watercoloring, get yourself some good watercolor paper. Now, this is the one we have. It's called Fluid 100 watercolor paper. And you can buy this from your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Okay, this is, it is a lovely tooth to it. Now, what do I mean when I say tooth? And this might be hard to show. I think I can't quite, I'm trying to get the light on it. Can you kind of see, it's kind of got like a bit of texture to it. Can you see that texture there when I hold it in the light? That is what they call tooth, T-O-O-T-H, okay? And it's called tooth because completely smooth paper, you can still, there is such a thing as completely smooth watercolor paper, and that will give you a slightly different effect. But something with a small amount of tooth actually grips the water better and actually gives you a little bit of a textured look. And that is a really nice thing to look for in watercolor paper. Okay, now this one's only got a small amount of tooth. You can go looking for a brand like Canson or something like that where they have a lot of tooth. Okay, it's a lot of texture. The one that we used to have once upon a time before this one, the old watercolor paper, that one had more tooth than this one. Okay, so just to bear that in mind, it's not absolutely necessary. I think, you can have a play with a few different ones and decide what kind of a texture look you like. Okay. Hey, Sue, nice to see you. Oh, hi, Linda from Minnesota. How are you? All right. So, there you go. Tanya has all the news. Tanya's very, very good at retaining information. you are, Tanya, very good at retaining information when it gets given to demonstrators. And I know enough to be dangerous most of the time. So, yeah, it's really good having someone like Tanya to come along. And Cherie, you're really good at that as well. But you ladies have all the information. Did you look it up or did you remember, Tanya? Excuse me. All right, so the first thing you're going to need is watercolor paper. Now, the size of the watercolor paper is actually, this is inches, 5 inches by 7 inches, okay? And it does have on the back of the pack here, 5 inches by 7 inches, which is 12.7 centimeters by 17.8 centimeters, okay? To be honest, in this case, 5 by 7 is a lot easier to remember, right? Excuse me. Yes, you can download the digital version of the catalogue now. Those of you who are demonstrators, it is on the Stampin' Up website under the Happening Now menu. If you go into product releases or and scroll down a little bit, you'll see it there. If you're in Australia, make sure you click on the AU one, not the New Zealand one. Otherwise, you're going to get a really big shock because the prices in New Zealand are higher than they are in Australia. So even higher. All right. So if I cut this at the 3.5 inch mark, that is exactly halfway. And that gives me this size. And I find this is quite a good size. As you can see, you see it's exactly half? This is quite a good size for putting on a card. So if I had a card base here and I pop this on here, can you see that that's actually a really great size, right? So just something to remember that if you're cutting this in half, you'll get a really good size for a card base. All right, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, the paper, right? I bet you know, Sheila. I don't mean to make you feel bad. I'm just looking. You remember, but you did a double check on the website to check your facts. Good girl, good girl. Then I also have these. Now, if I can hear the collective gasp and everyone's going, oh my goodness, how many watercolor pencils does she have? Sorry, water painter brushes does she have? And I have a lot because I collect them over the years, and I've got more as well. I just only pulled out a few. Too many, I know. I'm a bit like that. I collect sponge daubers, blending brushes, and watercolor brushes. So these are our water painters, okay? And when you buy a pack of these, you get 3 in a pack. So that's not quite as many when you think of it like that, right? But here you can see the word, oh, hang on, better hold it in the right place. Can you see the word or can you not? Oh, no, it's too hard to see. But the word push is, oh, there it is. Can you see it? Push. All right, so what this is, when you first get this, when they come, and it's a bit like a Wink Stella, they'll come with I believe it's a black, like a ring here in the middle. You need to unscrew them, get rid of the black ring in the middle, and then you fill the barrel, this bit here, with water, okay? So you put your water in here, and then you screw this back on. Now, interestingly, they screw the opposite way to what you would normally think. So if you're trying to get it on and it's doesn't seem to be screwing it on, screw it the other way, because normally it's what lefty loosey and righty tighty. It's the opposite for these, okay? So I don't know why. Maybe it's to make it harder to get them apart. I don't know, but it's not that bad if you remember that, okay? So when you get the 3 pens, they come, and I've also got some spritzers here as well, which we may use. I've got a couple of spritzers. Here's another one. We may use those. So I'm just going to pull those out and just have the brushes. Oh, and I've got to show you my tray. Look at my tray. Look. Isn't that cute? I bought this somewhere. I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, my goodness, I have to have that. I just have to. I wonder if it was in Louise's Taste of the Country Cafe, because it is the sort of thing she would sell there. And you can see this pink one, to me, I'm saying that's Crumpet, and this black and white one, we're going to say that's Merlot. This one here's got ginger and black and white. So we don't have one of those. Maybe that's telling me I need to get another cat, but there's no Freya. So Freya is currently sleeping just over there, over that way. And she's hopefully going to let me get through this video without interrupting me. All right, so I have gone and filled up all my water painters so they all have water in them, and we're going to do some stamping. So let's do stamping 3 ways, all right? So, and this is where I get to tell you about a new exciting product that's coming. That, what was the OMG for? Was that all the water painters? Is that what that was, Leslie? I missed what it was for. So I'm going to turn this over because there's a mark on that side. Your basic watercolor painting, you want to use an ink that is not going to run. Okay, so that's important. Now, our dye inks, all of our classic inks are dye inks, which means they are water-based. And that means if you then try and add watercolor to them, the inks that you've stamped with are also going to bleed. And that is why we have StazOn. Actually, I've got two StazOn here. Two StazOns, and I'm not sure. All right, we have StazOn ink, which is this one here. But guess what, guys? There's a new black ink coming in the new catalog. All right. And it is a hybrid ink. I haven't tried it yet. I'm very excited to try it, but I really, really want to use it because apparently you can use it with blends and watercoloring. It's good for both. So how good is that? So that will be part of our range. Somebody asked, does that mean that StazOn and Memento are going away? I don't know the answer. I can tell you they're not in the new catalog, or I didn't see them unless I missed them. I don't believe they're in there. Now, that's not to say they aren't going to still be online exclusives, or maybe one of them will be, but they're not in the catalog. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens with the online exclusives if they show up there. But if you have a hybrid one, technically you shouldn't need to have both, right? We should only need to have one. And it is a Stampin' Up branded product where Memento is not and StazOn is not. So StazOn is made by, is it how I can never know how to say it? Sukinenko, is that how you say it? Tsukineko, Sukinenko, I think that's how you say it. And so when I'm watercoloring right now, I need to use StazOn because it won't run when I add water, okay? Whereas if you want to use blends, which is not watercoloring, that's your alcohol markers, in that case, you need to use a dye ink. So I'm so excited about the fact that we are going to have a new hybrid, ink pad that will work for both. So that's very, very exciting. So I'm just going to add some ink to this because it's a while since I've re-inked my StazOn, and I am just making sure that, and what you want to do is just, you know, you can drag the ink or you can dot it like I do. It really doesn't matter. We're just adding some more to make sure that we have this inky enough because it's important that it be inky enough. All right, now here's the thing. When you use StazOn, okay, it's not the best for your photopolymer stamps, and so I don't use it very often. Now, I used to use it quite happily with the rubber stamps, but now that we have photopolymer, I'm not using StazOn all that often. So I'm really, really excited about the new ink because I am hoping that's going to be working really, really well no matter what. Oh, we're about to have a visitor. Here she comes. I'm so sorry. What are you doing, Miss Freya? You're on my desk. So I've inked that up, and you want to make sure you ink it really well. And then we're going to stamp this here in the middle. Now, to be honest, this piece of paper is a little large for this. All right, so she's here. Can you see? All right, so when I'm using StazOn, I really give it a bit longer than usual to transfer. I want to make sure I get a really, really good image. So I'm just going to peel that off and make sure that it has... And it's not super dark, but it's dark enough that it's going to give us enough to work with there. All right, now, because I've just added StazOn to this, I like to clean my stamp straight away. Now, we do have StazOn Cleaner, but my understanding is that StazOn Cleaner isn't the very best of things to add to photopolymer stamps. But if you use normal Stampin' Mist, or clean as you normally would, it is going to come off. If you do it straight away, it gives you a pretty good result. All right, so you can see that's actually cleaned up pretty well. All right, if you leave it sitting there, yes, it's going to stain permanently, but because I did it straight away, it worked pretty well. All right, so I'm just going to do basic stamping, basic watercoloring with this. And like I said, I've gone ahead and I've already put water in all my barrels, so I'm ready to go. And I'm going to use, so when you buy a packet of these, you get a thin one. This is a fine point. You get a medium point, like so. You can see it's quite a bit different. And then you also get a big old fat wash brush. Okay, so this is for doing backgrounds and so forth. They're the three that come in the pack. Okay. So, saddle brown, yeah. Do we even still have that? I don't even know. I haven't used it in so long. I haven't looked. That's a really good question. Should I look right now? Let me have a look. If I type in the word saddle, does anything come up? SADDLE. Let's see. My computer's a little bit slow today. Yep, they do still have it. So the ink pad for saddle brown is $18.50 and the refill is $13.25. So yes, and yeah, it would be a good choice for no line watercoloring. Yeah, there you go. It's still there. She's sitting just there, like literally 4 inches in front of the end of my here. So she's right here, but just looking like she's going to go to sleep. All right, so I'm going to start. You can start with the fat one and do the sky and the foreground first if you want to, or you can start with any of them. I tend to use the thin one for like close, more detailed work. So, for example, in this case, I'll probably use the thin one for some of these trees and bushes on the skyline and around the the little farmhouse and all these bits and pieces. So, and maybe for the fence as well. Okay, so that might be really good. And then I'll probably use this guy here. The medium one will be good for the fields. So that's kind of how you would be. The bigger the area, the bigger the brush, basically. That's how you would think of it. All right. Now, we have a couple of choices. We can wet this first and allow the water to pull the ink, okay, when we put it on. I tend to prefer that if I've embossed my image, okay? But with just a straight image like this, we're just going to go in on the dry. You can also have more detail if it's dried, okay? So if it's wet, it's going to do its own thing a little bit more. So, all right. So I'm going to grab a couple of blocks. Just plain old blocks. And I'm also going to, what colors would you like to see me? Are we happy for this to be like, I did it earlier in crushed curry because I wanted it to be like yellow wheat fields. What do you guys think? Does that sound all right? And I'm going to bring in, so crushed curry is probably a good color. Do you remember the color we used to have called wild wheat that everyone hated? Not hated, but a lot of people didn't like it. And I'm thinking to myself, this is old olive. I think that will work well. And maybe we might even bring in a couple of darker colors. So let's see. We'll start with these two. I've got some re-inkers here in the tray, so I'm just keeping those around. And I'm going to start with the wheat fields, I think. You like my kitty tray? Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate you saying that because I love it too. It's a bit of fun, right? All right, so I'm just putting just a drop of crushed curry ink right there on this, and I'm going to come in with my medium point, and I'm actually going to squeeze it before I do anything. I'm going to squeeze it so a couple of drops come out, okay? And then I'm going to mix that and spread it around. So I'm diluting the color, and I'm also loading up the brush. I want the brush to be well and truly, wet. Freya's finding all this very, very interesting, as you might imagine. All right. Now, something else that we're meant to have before I start. I forgot to tell you. Paper towel. Always have some paper towel or napkins or something like that. And I fold them. So if I need to blot and make something a lighter color, I can do that. All right. So keep a paper towel close by. All right. So if I need to get rid of any of the water, I'm just going to come across and I'm just going to go straight here and I'm just going to do one nice swipe. Now, I'm also going to put a bit more water and I'm going to swipe it back this way, all right, because we're going to go over this edge. And I think maybe, what do we think? One wheat field? Would one wheat field be enough? I'm also going to add a little bit of colour down below the fence here. Here's a little tip for you. When you're adding colour, it's nice to leave a little bit of a white edge. Sorry, someone is playing with the pens. Excuse you. All right, so we're going to, we'll have a little bit of, like there's a little bit of a line above that fence there. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that there. And I'm thinking, will we go old olive or garden green for the next? And another color I'm going to bring in here will be pecan pie. And you can mix your colors together. So, for example, if I want pecan, which is quite a medium brown, but if I wanted to add it so it's a bit golden medium brown, I can add it to this. So we're going to add it to the crushed curry. This could be an interesting session. I'm just going to take a bit of that color off, and I'm going to have this coming over here. Now, good to leave a little bit of white here and there, okay? And I'm going to actually come here and now squeeze it and run it off on your paper towel, and that's going to get rid of a lot of the color so we can change colors. Okay, so I'm going to be using Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to be using Old Olive. Watercoloring is one of those things that makes you feel like, I don't know, makes you feel like you know what you're doing, and you look a bit clever and arty, even if you don't think you are. And I like that, right? So I'm actually going to use, I'm going to grab another one. Not that you have to. If I wanted to completely clean this off, I would just keep pushing water through until I get it clear. Once it comes out clear, see how there's less and less? Okay, there's not much now. It's almost clear now. So I could then do a couple more drops and pick up some more ink. Okay, so I'm using my blocks. You can also use the inside of the lid of your ink pad as well. Okay, I'm going to. And if it gets a bit dry like this is, just give it a tiny squeeze. Oh, now I've got too much. All right, too much, easy, blot it. Oh, I made a mark. That's okay. We'll probably end up cutting this down anyway, so I'm not worried about that. All right, so we've got some different colored fields, all right? And I'm actually going to pick up some more of this and push a bit of water through again. And I was going to go with a bigger brush, but I'm just going to do now. You'll notice I go quiet when I'm concentrating, so as many of us do. All right, I kind of like it when the brush starts to dry a little bit, and I want you to show you that. See how the color fades out there a little bit in the front? And that's because the brush is a little drier. So you're kind of thinking about whether the brush is wet or dry or what it's doing at all these different times. All right, I'm going to clean this off. So that's ready to go again. Someone is playing with a sponge dauber. Now I'm wondering what the color of my sky should be. When I did it earlier, I did it in balmy blue. And I don't know, but I think maybe that was a little, I don't know. It was too much of a true blue. And I'm thinking maybe a pool party would be good. And Linda's got a class tomorrow, so she's probably packed that. So let me quickly grab it out of the bag ready for tomorrow. Oh, I need the re-inker anyway. What am I doing? I don't need the ink pad. I need the re-inker. Better remember to put that back, hey? All right, so all right, so we've got some Pool Party here. Pool Party is a good sky color, in my opinion. Freya, darling, she likes to play with these. This is her favorite thing to play with, a sponge dauber. Well, there's not, I won't say her favorite thing because she's got a lot of things that she likes to play with. Hairbands, that's a favorite. All right, I'm going to use the big brush this time. I'm going to drip some water through And I want it to be quite light. Sorry. Take that over there. All right, so I'm actually going to come over. You want to make sure it's loaded up really well, and I'm actually going to just drag it right across. And I am going to go a little bit closer down near the edge here. And it's sort of nice if you have like some different colors in the sky. So darker in some areas, lighter in some areas. That looks really nice. And it's very, very easy to do. Okay. So I've left some bits of white, like around where the fence is, for example, because that's going to highlight the fence. And sorry, Freya's finding this very interesting. And then I'm just going to drip this off. And I'm using my glass mat, but you could do this on any surface. All right. So another color that is really good for clouds would be a light, like a smoky slate. I'm just looking to see, do I have some smoky slate here? I'm pretty sure I do. Just got to find it. This is all my neutrals. So I've got my neutrals in one of these. I've got my brights in one. There's grey granite, smoky slate. There we go. Now, if you wanted to, you could also, I don't want my clouds to be dark. I don't want that. So I'm going to be coming in with, I haven't even used my little guy yet, but I might use it for this. So I'm going to drip some water, and then we want to spread that around so it's getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And then we're just going to come in here and do some of these clouds. And that's probably fine, just like that. You don't need to do very much with it. All right. And I'm going to cut this down and get rid of these marks. Marks are almost, I mean, look at my fingers. It's almost inevitable that you're going to get them. Why am I brave? Oh, because of Freya, I know. But then again, it's either that or I lock her out and then we have to listen to her crying outside the door. So you can't win, really. All right. So I'm going to clean this off. So I'm going to grab myself another piece of paper towel because I pretty much exhausted the first one. You will go through a bit of paper towel, so always keep some close by. And I'm going to squeeze it and just run it off until it's coming clear. Now it's getting nearly clear now. That's good. All right. I want to get some detail on these little guys. Now I'm wondering what color. Should I do maybe a red roof or something like that? I'm worried that red is really going to... Well, let's start with Mossy Meadow and do the bushes. That might be good. I could also add a bit of Mossy Meadow in the front here, but it's not necessary. Watercolouring is all about just sort of playing. And all right, so I'm going to get some... Let me see how we're going here with this. I'm just going to do a little bit of green here on the horizon, or whatever we want to call this. And doing all these little bushes on the horizon there. All right, that looks good. And because there was a little bit wet from the sky, they've run a little bit. I don't mind that. I kind of like that look. So did we decide what color we were going to do the buildings? When it's very therapeutic to do this kind of thing. Okay, so my suggestion to you is that you just enjoy the process. Now, something you can do, I didn't say this earlier, but something you can do is you can use masking tape and tape it down around the edges. And then you don't get all these kind of edgy bits. It goes all the way to the edge. And then when you take peel the masking tape away, you'll have just a hard line. I don't mind that. I think it looks really, really classy, but I'm not doing it today. But yeah, you could definitely do that. All right. I still have to do the house, and I'm deciding what color. What would cloud cover look like? It would look okay. Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it, Lorraine? She's being well behaved because she's sleeping right now. I would hang on. Let me just see if you can see her. Give me a second. There she is. That's what the back of my desk looks like. She's fast asleep. So there you go. All right. So what about navy? Navy might look really good, but we're going to have to use the fine point for this. So I'm going to get rid of all the green that's left on my Secret Sea and cloud cover would look really good actually, but I'm going to use navy because I've already packed my Secret Sea ready for tomorrow, and I've still got or I could use I think navy. Yeah, she is gorgeous. I know, right? I'm very biased though. Night of Navy, Misty Moonlight. There it is, Night of Navy. Now I don't want this to be too dark. Just a drop. You can see it takes you, Cajun Craze. Oh, that would be good. Actually, I have got Cajun Craze. I'll do Cajun Craze for the roof. What do you think about that idea? Let's drip out some water. And just using the fine tip. Oh, no, too much water. I'm going to, can you see it bled down into the, all right, that looks okay. And I like the Cajun Craze idea. Now, Cajun Craze is not a colour I love, but, well, do I even have it? Do you know, I don't even have Cajun Craze in a re-inker. So what do you do if you don't have a re-inker? There's a couple of things you can do. You can get your marker if you have one. We don't sell, I think we still have these at the moment, but these are going to be discontinued. Actually, does anyone know if they're still around? Okay, but if you have them, you can scribble onto a block. I'm going to get all my color off this. And then squeeze your water out. I'll get another one because that one's going to take too long to do. Some colors certainly are more, they stick on there more than others. And then you can pick it up. So that will work for you. But it's quite light. I have made it very light. Another option, okay, and another option would be to get your Cajun Craze, all right, and you can see I've got it in here. It looks almost new, doesn't it? It's because I hardly ever use this color, guys. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to squeeze it really, really hard. Like I'm really thinking about someone I'm not happy with and squeezing as hard as I can. And that puts some ink right here on here. And then we can use this as a palette. Okay. So if you ever see ink pads that got this like blob of ink on the other side, that's what's been happening. So let me see how we're going here. So I'm going to, that's better. See, it's darker this time. All right. That's looking quite good. So I hope there's a few tips here for you. Okay, so this is using Stays On. I'm just going to see, do I want to do anything else? Did I want to maybe bring a bit of color? I've still got some green on here. And I feel like I probably should have brought some of the crushed curry. Oh, look, let's just cut it as it is. We'll leave it exactly as it is, but I'm going to cut it up a little bit, and then we can use it on a card. We'll pick which one at the end. We'll pick which one we're going to make into a card. How about that? All right, so I'm going to, what's this? This is, I'm going to go 7 centimeters. And Do we want to leave it the same length, do you think? Or do you think we cut it down a little bit? I'll cut it down ever so slightly. All right, just like that. Okay. So we've got one panel, very simply done, just with stays on. And this is, if I bring it up a bit closer, you can see what it looks like. Very simple. It really is just colouring in, but spreading the water around while you do it. Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day to you as well. All right. So there's, if you don't have re-inkers, there's a couple of other ways you can get that ink onto your brush. You can use the ink pad as a palette, or you can also use your markers, scratch them on, scribble onto a block, and then add some water. Pick it up with your pen. All right. So I'm going to do another one. And let's get this one off here and pop it back. Sorry, Freya, darling, you're lying on my stamp set. Sorry, honey. Sorry about that. No, I've woken her up. Now we're in trouble. All right. So you can see we did this one, and then we've got these two. Which one will I do with? Maybe this one, the middle one, the beach. I'm going to take this one off here. I'm going to put this one. So I'm using block E for these, if you're wondering what block. Block E is the next biggest one up from D. D is probably the one I use the most. But just making sure that's on there properly. Oh my goodness. She's in a very unusual position, shall we say. All right, I'm going to cut this down. And I'm going to grab these. All right, we're going to actually, oh, I've got clear and I need black. Black is here. The middle one, yes, we're going to do that with our, so the first thing you want to do is this is important when you're doing this, is we're going to use our embossing buddy and we're going to use it over the whole surface. All right, and I might try a slightly different watercolor technique because we're using embossed lines. It helps us do it a little differently. So I'm using my Versamark pad, which is my preferred pad for embossing. You can use any pigment ink, but you can't use dye ink for this because you need something that's sticky and takes longer to dry so that the powder will stick to it. And I'm using my Wow powder today, and I've actually never used my black. This is the first time I'm using the black one. I have always used the other ones, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm just going to put that right there in the center. And it will look like not much is happening because it is, like I said, Versamark is clear and sticky. So it'll look like we've done absolutely nothing. There's nothing going on there. But when I pour the powder over it, hopefully we'll have a different story. So I'm going to open this one up and we're going to pour it on. And you can be quite liberal with it because any leftover will go back into the tub. All right. All right, now you can see it. Okay, you can see I'm going to tap it off because that tooth or the slight indentation in the paper means that it's easier for the powder to sit on top. And so it is good to tap the back and also use your brush if there's any left around the edges like I'm about to do. So I'm just going to pour this black powder back in here. Oh, wrong lid. All right, so one of the things that comes with this embossing editions kit is this little brush. You also get a set of tweezers. You get the embossing buddy. It's a very handy little thing. So if you do a lot of embossing, then this is a really great tool to have. It helps you contain everything so you don't end up with a giant mess. It's very, very good. All right, so here's our little our little beach scene now. Now, these ones, when embossed, there's no way I'm going to be coloring those. I'm just going to go with the lines created by the embossing. We are going to heat it and then see what that leaves us with. Okay, so ideally I should be using my tweezers right now for this, but I left them on a different table, so I'm just going to, let's hope that Freya doesn't think she's going to come over here, because this is quite hot, so I have to be very careful so I don't burn anyone's whiskers. Yeah, dinner plate would work. Or you can even use one of those little, you know, watercolor palettes that you can buy, the little cheap ones you can get at the cheap shop. Those would work as well. All right, so gradually this is cooking. I'm holding it over here so I don't, like I said, burn anyone's whiskers, because that would be very, very bad. She's watching what I'm doing and thinking, what the heck is that? All right. Let's see how that went. So I just need to make sure. Now, the interesting thing is when you do, yeah, it looks like it's fine. When you do it on watercolor paper, you don't get the hard, shiny, raised image that you do on regular cardstock. It kind of soaks into the paper a little bit because this paper is more porous than your regular cardstock, especially white. Okay, so just bear in mind that it'll give you a little bit of a different finish to the embossing. All right. Okay, so this is actually really easy to do. Okay, very simple. I am going to start with my what we did before, which was the pool party and the wide brush for the sky. And I want this to be, I'd like it to be a little bit of a drier finish. So I'm going to start with dropping. What are you doing, Freya? Making noises over there. Okay. And I'm going to have some paper towel handy. So I'm going to grab myself another piece. I fold my paper towel over a couple of times so it's easy to blot. Okay. And then we're just going to come straight across here. And if you have some lines in your sky, I think that adds to the way the sky looks. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more. Oh my gosh, is that a hair? There we go. Yep, that's better. All right, so it's very easy. There's no, watercoloring is not a mystery, okay? It's just, you just add color wherever you want to. And for something like a sky or a big area, use a wide brush where you can just do long, thin strokes. Oh, that's a good idea too, Cherie. Really good idea. So you're not a fan of using blocks. I've started using blocks more. I never used to. But, all right. Now for the water, what color water will I have? I think I want a brighter water than the sky. So I'm thinking Bermuda Bay used to be a really good color for this. Maybe we've got a few choices. We can go with the greeny, like Summer Splash into Peacock, Pretty Peacock, or we could go Azure Afternoon, which is very bright blue. We could do that, although I don't know if I have a re-inker in that, but that's okay. Like you saw me before, we could do something different. This is going to be yellow, okay, because that's our beach. So I'm going to go with my lightest yellow for that. Let me see what I have. I've got some lemon lolly. There we go. That's lemon lolly. Look at the funny color the lemon lolly is. It looks orange, doesn't it? But it says lemon lolly on the outside of the pack, so it must be. So I'm going to go, let me grow one of these. Whoop. Oh, good job, Linda. I just dropped my block. Never mind. I'm not worried. It's going to be fine. we're going to make that work. In fact, it'll give us an interesting finish to this. You can see there's no I'm not about fancy watercoloring, that's for sure. All right, so now we have some yellow here. Just gonna, and then I'm going to come on over here and go over that, what I just did accidentally. I'm just going to add color to that whole area. I'm not starting again. You think watered down azure? Yeah, I'm thinking too. And blueberry bushel where the water gets darker. So Siobhan, I agree with you as well. Yeah. So I'm not worried about, I feel like that's going to give us an interesting look, that little bit of, what was that? That was a mixture of, what did we use before? That was the watered down Cajun Craze, I think. All right. Let's do, because I don't have a re-inker for Azure Afternoon, or let me double check. I'm pretty sure I don't have one because it's not a color I use very often. Oh, I do have it. Oh my goodness. Well, there you go. I must have bought it. I have been telling people, and I'm trying to do it myself, that when I buy a new ink pad, I try and buy a refill at the same time. That way I have always got what I need. So I'm going to use a wider brush, and we're going to start with the Azure Afternoon. It's watered down, and we're going to come in here from out at sea somewhere, and we're just going to and then I'm also going to add, and I'm going to use it the same block. I'm going to add blueberry bushel, and we're going to go out to sea. It's going to be darker. Now you might notice, because I am going over the one of the nice things about using embossing powder for your stamping is that you don't have to worry about it. It's not going anywhere. You don't have to worry about the lines at all. Oh, that's nice, that blueberry bushel. What do you think about that? Do we like that? And this bit of color in here makes it look like maybe there's a sunset or something it's reflecting. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? It's not what I anticipated, not what I meant to do, but I actually really like it. It's a happy accident. All right. And I want you to see something. Can you see there's some, like, I didn't quite go down to the horizon. There's a little bit of a white gap around the edges, and that's by choice. Okay. If you leave some little bits of white, it gives your watercoloring life and energy. Okay. And that's what you want. I'm just looking up. Yeah, refills are going up in price. You are correct, as are all inks. So the new ink pads in the new in colors, the magnetic ones, they're only going to be available in the new colors this year. The rest of the colors will still be as they are now, but they are also going up. They're currently $15.75. They're going up to $19.25, if I'm not mistaken. Flick the bottom edge out a bit rather than the solid line. You mean rather than this line here? Sure, we can do that. Let's grab some. You mean flick down? Let me see if I can. And then I'm going to come back in here. Wow, I can't seem to hold on to anything today. And I'm going to. And I've got a little bit of color in the sky. Now, if you do get color where you don't want it, you can blot it, but sometimes it will just look like it's part of the painting, look like it's part of what's going on there. And don't forget, when it dries a little bit lighter than what you've done, okay? I actually don't mind that at all. I would probably cut it up a little a little bit more. So now I did say watercoloring 3 ways, so we are going to cut it up again. Okay, I'm actually fine with that one. I think it looks fine. Very easy to do. Okay, the last one we're going to do on another piece. So this piece here, and this time I'm going to do the no line watercoloring, and we're going to do it with basic beige ink. Okay, so what you want to do, yeah, you can lift it by wetting it, by running a water brush over it, exactly like one that doesn't have any ink in it. I'm just going to put these, get myself some more paper towel and wipe off my yes, you certainly can lift some water by running a clean water brush over it. But I actually don't mind that little bit. I feel like that little bit of orange that turned up in the sand there, I don't mind it. I think it looks good. When I got home from onstage, this is the first time since Freya moved in with us, it's the first time that she's had, that I haven't been here for 3 days in a row. And she was stuck on me like glue all night on Sunday night after I got home. Like I went to bed and she slept on me under my neck, just slept there. I think she really missed me, which was lovely, but I'm thinking, oh no, what's going to happen when we go away for 3 weeks later in a couple of months from now? We'll be going away for 3 weeks, and I don't know how she's going to go. I'm sure she'll survive. I wonder if she'll talk to us when we get back. All right, so this is the one I just did, and let me grab. Okay, what did I do with the stamp set? Here it is. It's on the floor. It's fallen down. Right, so this one's going to go back, and then the last one is the one with the mountains. That one goes here. The mountains and the pine trees. This one's a little bit Alaska-y, don't you think? Is Alaska-y a word? I don't think you'll find it in the dictionary. Right, so I'm going to do this one. Now, you could choose, if you don't have basic beige, you could also use smoky slate. You could use grey granite, or even crumb cake, but I'd be stamping them off if they're, juicy ink pads. I would not do them full strength. Whereas if you use basic beige, you can do it full strength. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that I've got plenty of ink on that, and I will be cutting this down later. I'm going to pop this right here. Maybe I should have actually, I'm thinking about it, I probably should have gone down a little further because I probably want more room in the sky. Can you see it there? So it's that's still being worked out, Marilyn. My stepmom, my dad's wife, she'll be coming for some of the time, but she can't stay for the whole 3 weeks. That's unrealistic. So I have my son, Ben. I've asked him if he'd be interested. At the moment, he hasn't sounded very interested, so I don't think he will. But I have a friend who has a daughter who will feed cats for a price each day. And I also have another friend, I don't know if she's watching, who said that one of her sons might be able to do it. So we will find someone. It'll be okay. But I think that's the only time that having pets is a problem, really, isn't it? Is when you want to go away. All right, so this one, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking really I should have done a fourth way, and that would be stamping in, say, the predominant color, which in this case I think would be Mossy Meadow, a dark green, and then actually going over the lines. Let's just do it really, really fast. So even though I said 3 ways, this is kind of a fourth. Do I have Mossy Meadow handy? Oh, I don't. Let me pick a different color. I just want to show you what I mean. So let me pull this back in. And I've done this before. You have seen me do this before. So this is I like Mossy Meadow for this because it's a really good color for this to do. But what you can do is actually use your water pens. Make sure they're a little bit wet. Where is my paper towel? Make sure it's a little bit wet. And then literally go over the stamped image with your wet water painter. And can you see what's happening here? This is one of my favorite easy peasy techniques. So what you're going to do is you're just going to pick up that little bit of water and look what happens. All your little trees are suddenly coming to life and jumping off the page. And this is one of my favorite watercolor things to do. But I didn't actually think about doing this one. Now this one I'm going to just color these trees in. But where we have more of a concentration, can you see how we've just made them jump out? Okay, so this is another way. So this is 3C, if you like, okay, where you can end up looking like there's no lines if you end up drawing all the ink, using your water to pull all the ink from those stamped lines across so that, and I'm doing all the green bits. Can you see that? And it's a really nice look. And then you would do the same thing with the brown for the rocks and, you know, the water, probably you'd be more colouring the water in. But can you see just doing that? It's such a nice look. I really like that. Ooh, I could pay someone in chocolate, Janine. That'd be good. All right, so that's another option, okay, even though I didn't anticipate doing that. But what we're going to do here is we're going to come in and we are going to do something similar, but instead of drawing out, I'm actually just going to, I'm going to use a little bit of green on here, and I'm actually going to, need to squeeze harder. Squeeze. Okay. We're going to get rid of some of the painted lines. So what the idea of no line watercoloring is that you look like you, at the end, you end up like with a picture that looks like it's painted, like painted in oils or acrylics or something, because you can't see all the lines that were there at the start. And if you use a light color like basic beige or a very light color, smoky slate maybe, then you can end up with these lovely painted looking scenes. Now it can be a scene like this one. It could be anything. You can do flowers or birds, or I just realized I colored the rocks green, but that's okay. We can always go over them again with something else. All right. And then what color will we make the water? Should that be pool party or should it be something else? I'm thinking maybe what color would it be? I feel like Azure Afternoon might be too, you don't watercolor enough? I know. I agree, Judy. I think it's a really nice look. That I know what you mean. You mean this one. Yeah, it looks really good, doesn't it? Mossy Meadow is a good neutral for that. Right, let me get rid of, that's all right. And then we've got a little bit of this. Let's try this for our water. I don't know if it's going to be too bright. It might be. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm thinking maybe some pecan. It's restful, I know. And I think, you know, sometimes we need to make the time. Oh, it could be a little bit green in the rivers. Yes, you're right. And maybe we add some of that in. Maybe we'll put some green in with it. So I'm actually going to, I'm thinking pecan might be a little dark in some areas. But let's get a little bit more. That's better. You want to leave a little bit of white here and there. Don't colour in the whole thing. And you can see I'm using more water as I come down, so it gets a little fainter. And then you can blot it if you're worried about the wall. You can let it dry. You can hit it with a heat tool if you really want to. There's a number of ways you can go about this. So I'm just going to, whoop, those are a bit dark. And I feel like we need to have maybe some Misty Moonlight, because I feel like that's a lighter version of navy, and the hills might take on a bit of a blue tone. Those of us who live here in New South Wales are well versed with our blue mountains, which look that color, I'm told, because of the high eucalyptus content. Kind of. So it is very, very restful if you take the time and just play. I feel like that water is way too dark, or so too bright, not too dark. That's better. Dulling it down a little bit. And then the sky probably, we still got a bit more green. Have I still got some green on a pen, or did I get rid of that? I feel like I need some very strong. So when you color these in, you're going to lose all those lines, those basic beige lines. And it's just going to look like. And early espresso. Here we go. I'm going to tie a tiny bit of that in around some of the edges of the water. Soften that. Add some more water. So the sky needs to come in now, but I'm going to use my pool party, I think, for that, because we did say that looked good for a sky, didn't we? How are we going for time? Am I over? I'm way over. I'm so sorry, everyone. I said at the beginning I should probably jinx myself by saying that I'll try and keep it to under an hour, but that's okay. What did I do with my pool party? Did I put it back? Oh, no, here it is. Here it is. So pool party. I'm going to bring in my wide brush, some drips. Let's just get and then you can still see the clouds. Can you see the lines of the clouds? See that? I'm actually going to grab another piece of paper towel. I'm going to blot this just because I don't have time for it to dry. So I'm just going to blot it. Here we go. And I think you're right, Janine. Well, it's not hard, but can you see that there's some white spaces around some of the different elements? I did make this too dark. Okay, that's too dark there. But it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter all that much because we've kind of got an echo of some dark over here, not quite as dark as this. I could go back and darken it up, but there's little bits of white left in between some of the elements. So like in between the two mountains, there's a little bit of white, which helps, it helps emphasize them. It helps them stand out one from the other. So I still want to do something with these clouds, and I have my smoky slate here. Just got to find my smoky slate. You could use grey granite too. That would be okay. But if I'm going to do a few grey clouds, I don't want it to be too dark. I just want to get rid of some of the lines in the sky there because this is no line watercolouring. So let's make this as light as possible. And we're just going to colour over that. I'm just going over some of those lines so that, I don't know if you can see, so that the lines, now it looks more, can you see what I mean about it looks more like a painting, whereas the other ones look like colouring in. Okay, so that looks more like colouring in, definitely. This is the embossed one, and then we just kind of had some fun with that. And then this one, to me, is probably the one that looks the most like a painting. I did a lot with pastels when I was younger, Cherie. Pastels was kind of my thing. I have a painting in my kitchen that I did with soft pastels, and I've always loved the way they feel. And I love going into I used to just love going into like an art shop and seeing all those beautiful pastels in their racks. You know, they look so beautiful, like rainbows. So which one of these do you think you would try? Have you tried any of them? Have you tried them with embossing? Have you tried no line watercolouring? In fact, I have a funny feeling that no line watercolouring was maybe my first Technique Tuesday I ever did, possibly. I know I did it way back when. It was very early. So maybe it wasn't the first one, but it was very early in the piece. But that's my favourite one that we did today. And then this one is very, very simple. That's actually just stamping with a dye ink, a water-based ink, and then using your water painter to go over some of the elements, in this case, the trees, because I stamped it in green. So I did all the trees and all the pieces that, like the green elements, I dragged that color out. And you could, of course, continue and add, for example, have I still got some in here? No, that's smoky slate. But I could come in with my, here you go, this one. And we could add a little bit of color in these mountains here. And if you actually don't put the color all the way up to the top of the mountains, it looks like there's snow on them. So, you know, you can have some fun with these. And I could do this all day, except I can't because I have a class I've got to finish preparing for. So I better get myself off here. And I might play with this later. That might be my reward to myself later if I get all my cards cut up and ready for class tomorrow. Good point. That's a good point. Inky fingers, I know, right? That's how my fingers, this is an occupational hazard. And if my hands don't look like this at the end of the day, if I've been painting, I've not been doing it right. So that is very, very true. A hair washing day, but I already washed my hair this morning, Tanya. So that's no good. All right, you guys, let me click back over. How do we go? I think we went way too long, but it was very enjoyable. Don't forget that this month we have the Notes of Spring stamp set. If you're placing an order and it's a larger one of $125 or more, you get the Notes of Spring set if you want to for only $9. And I've been having some fun with that. I've actually shown that one a couple of times. I have it all packed up and ready to go for tomorrow's class, but that's a bit of fun. But you can check it out in the online store if you wish. I will put up my details, which is my web address, lookwatimade.com.au. If you head over there, you can sign up for my newsletter. You can go shopping if you're in Australia, because that's what, of course, if you are looking for any of the items that you've seen here, I would love you to shop with me. What else do we have over there? There's some tutorials over there. There's a whole bunch of things. So head over to lookwatimade.com.au and you will see all the fun things that you can be part of and continue this journey. All right. How do we go today? Any questions from anybody? That was fun. Good. I did enjoy on stage. Thank you, Judy, for asking. Yes, it was great. I had totally forgot because I earned it right back at the very beginning of the 2024 year. I'd forgotten that qualified me because I hit my 700,000 that year at the beginning of that year. And so I'd totally forgotten that I was going to do that walk. And and so that was a surprise. So hopefully it won't be too long until I can do the next one. Looking at comments. Yes. Thank you for answering those questions for Maureen. Thank you, Cherie. All right, you guys. I will see you all again on Friday night. I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye.